안녕하세요. 비트플랜비입니다. 오늘은 마크유스코의 영상을 가져왔습니다. 참고로 작년 9월 영상이며 역시나 마크유스코라는 말밖에 나오지 않네요.
And now we're at 67,400, and we're probably just on the verge of a breakout out of a very, very nice cup and handle pattern that would take us to the six digits by the end of the year. This is an amazing pattern. It's an amazing consolidation. I mean, prices consolidated from February until 4 weeks ago. And we were actually in a little bit of a distributive pattern. Humans, we're overly emotional. We have all these cognitive biases. We think we're smarter than we really are. We think we're more experienced than we really are. We think we're more disciplined than we really are. So it's really hard to overcome the human biases that make most traders really bad at it. Again, doesn't mean there aren't great traders. There are, very small number. Yeah. Humans are always going to human. And we do two things extremely well. We buy what we wish we would have bought. So we're always chasing that hot dot and we push momentum further than it should. And then we sell what we're about to need, right? Investing the only business in the world, literally, when things go on sale, people run out of the store. Every other business, you put something on sale, people run into the store. Like we're coming up on Black Friday, right? But you take Bitcoin down 15% and they run away and say it's going to zero. And so what's happening, Bitcoin prices on September 6th at 53,000. And everybody said we were going to 20 and, the bull market was over and everything was going to, I actually didn't really like it. We made a series of 5 lower lows and 5 lower highs up until, a month ago. Now we've made 2 higher highs and 2 higher lows. So I believe we've broken that distributive pattern and we're about to break. If we go above 68, I think it's 68.7, 68,690, all bets are off and the shorts will get squeezed.
여기서 잠깐 마크유스코처럼 기술적 분석을 잘하게 되면 코인 파생 시장에서 수익을 가져갈 수 있습니다. 하지만 대부분 개인 투자자들은 모험을 떠나기엔 사정이 좋지 않습니다. 현물과는 또 다른 리스크가 존재하기 때문이죠. 그래서 준비했습니다. 구독자분들을 위해 비트플랜비 베테랑 트레이더와 프로그램 개발자가 힘을 합쳐 보조지표를 개발하였습니다. 초보자부터 경력자까지 큰 도움을 받을 수 있는 지표라고 자부합니다. 보조지표 이름은 알파빗으로서 자동으로 구동되며 유료로 출시될 예정입니다. 구독자분들께 보답으로 선착순 50명만 무료로 배포해드릴 예정입니다. 또한 성의 있는 사용 후기까지 적어주시는 5분께 알파빗 지표 평생 이용권을 드리려고 합니다. 신청 방법은 하단 더보기란과 고정 댓글 확인해주세요. 많은 참여 부탁드립니다.
Everyone thinks that technical analysis is voodoo and, it's just, lines on a piece of paper. It's just ridiculous, right? Yeah. Markets are made up of human beings. Sales appeal to the core human nature that we have, right? We all like deals. We all like to get something for nothing or to get something for below its fair value. One of the challenges with crypto, most people don't know what the value is because they don't understand the difference between a network and a company, right? The problem is the price is different than the value. And that's true of all assets. The price that we see is simply the amount that 2 people will buy or sell or exchange a small amount of a good or service. It has nothing to do with the value, right? It is simply a transaction between 2 people, one that needs liquidity and one that thinks they're buying something, below fair value, or that's an investor. Investors buy things below fair value. Traders don't give a shit, about fair value. They just need movement up or down and they want to scalp. Speculators really don't care about value. They're just taking the opposite side of hedgers. Well, what's a hedger? A hedger is someone who produces something, oil, wheat, corn, Bitcoin, and has to sell their production forward, usually in the futures market, in exchange to pay their bills. And so they're hedging, they're selling future production. And so the speculator just takes the other side. They don't really care. They're just providing a liquidity tool and they hope it goes up. And then you got gamblers, right? Gamblers are people who buy meme coins and other stuff where there literally is no value. And if it's, oh, you're monetizing attention. I'm like, okay, great. That sounds great. But no, you're gambling. I'm super boring. I buy things, I put them in a wallet or cold storage, and I go do other stuff. Yeah. And so somewhere in my series of wallets, I have a bunch of things that I've accumulated over time. But yeah, I don't stress about now. I'm also not a trader. You can't do it halfway. And unfortunately, that's what most people do. That's why most people stink. But people who really do it, even those people, it's a very small percentage that are good. Because trading inherently is hard as a human. Again,
that's funny. Mark, when we had our discussion a few weeks ago, I think you so eloquently explained exactly what has happened to the price of Bitcoin. We always talk about, hey, this cycle is different, but this cycle kind of was different. We hit an all-time high prior to the halving, and then it's just been a slow grind downwards, as you said. Can you maybe explain to the viewer listening, hey, the halving, what's going on, what's been happening? The ETFs are supposed to bring all this money in, but we're seeing more, as you mentioned again, more of a slow grind down.
Now the cycle's the same, so it's not different this time, but there are two things that make this cycle. So the first is in the previous halving events, it's hard coded that the block rewards, the rewards paid to miners to secure the network, get cut in half every 4 years because it guarantees that the price will rise. If your block rewards get suddenly cut in half, your expenses stay the same. So now most of those miners would go out of business. Well, that's not what happens. The price rises because they're the ones that have to sell. Remember, they're the hedgers. They need to sell the coins to pay for their expenses. Well, they're not willing to sell them at a low price, so they hold them longer until somebody bids a higher price, and so it causes the price to rise. And on average, it's risen about 100%, which makes sense. If you cut by 50, you have to go up 100. Perfect. Well, this time, it started down that path, but then what happened is runes and ordinals were creating a reusage of empty block space. And in doing these inscriptions, you had to pay the miners transaction fees. Well, if my block rewards go down, normally I wouldn't sell unless I get a higher price, but now I'm getting these transaction fees. So that meant we didn't have as much of a dramatic rise right after post-halving. But the real reason is ETFs were launched and new money has come in, not as much as people think, because what happens with these ETFs, and it happened with GLD and others, is arbitrage. So there are these gigantic firms. So like when they say, if you want to buy a bunch of stuff, do you announce to the world that you want to buy? Hell to the no, because then what's going to happen? Everybody's going to raise the price. So what do? You say, I hate this asset. I'm short this asset. So then everybody panics and the price goes down. And what do? You just accumulate. JP Morgan's been doing this in gold forever. So 2 years ago, they got caught because you're not allowed to naked short. That's against the law. That's bad. But they do it all the time. And so that's what's going on. And that's why I say the series of lower highs and lower lows was being caused by this relentless selling of the futures. And when it broke 3-4 weeks ago, and now we've had two higher lows and two higher lows and two higher highs, I think that pattern is broken. So the miners aren't going to sell as much, and miner inventories are really skinny, so they need a higher price to cover their expenses. So I think they're going to hold a little longer, and the transaction fees are dropping.